This is TWiT.
I think the most interesting story is the Department of Justice has apparently decided that the remedy they're going to pursue, remember, they won a court case. This is a case that began under the Trump administration, continued for 4 years under the Biden administration. And the judge is now considering remedies. The court ruled that Google illegally monopolized the search market to require measures related. Oh, this is the remedy. The DOJ says, you know what, Your Honor, you know what Google could do? They could sell Chrome. They could just sell it. And by the way, the Bloomberg folks say it's worth $20 billion. I'm not sure.
To whom?
Well, look, let's say some moron, Larry Ellison, comes along and says, here's $20 billion. What is he buying? Chrome is based on an open source browser that cannot be, it's there, right?
Well,
it's on
GitHub. How would you monetize that?
Well, you know, Google monetizes it quite well, but the way they do it is they pay $20 billion a year to Apple and hundreds of millions of dollars a year to Mozilla and Samsung. And by doing so, they encourage people to use Google search. And of course, most people do it through Chrome, which is about 60% of the browser market. So it's how they gather all the information about you.
It's like telling GM, you can't sell steering wheels. The other thing is, it's so 2009, so EU.
Well, I think the argument that at least on the Windows Weekly show earlier, Richard Campbell suggested is this is just the opening shot of a negotiation, which will end in a consent decree. But the DOJ is telling Google, hey, we're serious here. Google said, are they, what? Are they kidding? Lee Ann Mulholland, Google's vice president of regulatory affairs, says the Justice Department, quote, continues to push a radical agenda that goes far beyond the legal issues in this case. The government is putting its thumb on the scale in ways that would harm consumers, developers, and American. Oh, this is important, by the way. This phrase is important. American technological leadership at precisely the moment it is most needed. Why is that an important phrase? Because in 2 months, we're going to have a new president. Yeah. A new president, by the way, who Sundar Pichai of Google, of Alphabet, has been kissing up to.
Who hasn't been?
But everybody has been, because nobody's a fool. A president who did, in fact, under his administration, start this battle. But, you know, Elon Musk is now in the mix because he's got Doge. Vivek Ramaswamy is in the mix because he also has Doge. Because when you're talking Department of Government Efficiency, you got to have two people running it. That's the most efficient.
That's the most efficient.
Yeah. I really think that this is just the Justice Department trying to bring things to a close before January 20th. Don't you?
Yeah, I think they're trying to do a lot before then. And there was another case today where Google's going to be under guidance, surveillance. We're going to be watching you, Google, and that struck me as they're trying to do a lot of regulatory things quickly. Yeah. I wonder what.
Who was that? Was that the DOJ too?
That was the.
Or was it EU, or was it the?
No, there was something else. No, it was something else. Where
there's so many battles on so many fronts, isn't it?
Did I put it in here? No.
Anyway, I think it's silly to even worry about this. I think Google thinks it's silly to worry about it.
Google reacts angrily to report it to have to sell Chrome. Google online.
Oh, yeah, they were pissed off. No, I read Google's
from the
reaction.
BBC of all places. A very unusual place to have reacts angrily in the headline.
Yes, that's true.
Well, putting their thumbs on the scale. But I think the most important thing is, and this is what Apple's going to say to President Trump. This is what Google's going to say is, we are American companies. This is where American innovation happens. If you put it, for Apple's worried about a tariff on Chinese parts of as much as 60%, which would add hundreds of dollars to the cost of an iPhone. They're going to say to them, all you're doing is helping Samsung. Do you want to do that, Mr. President?
Right.
What Google's going to say is all you're doing is knocking down an American company. Now, we'll work with you, on the real, by the way, the real issues are things like censoring conservative ideas and things like that.
Well,
and by the way, Brendan Carr is going to get rid of
letters.
Section 230 as quick as he possibly
He
can.
can't. He can't. It's not under his authority. He's talking
Congress
about all kinds
has
of
to do it.
things.
Congress has to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also can't regulate the internet as it stands now. It's not. I mean, Google's not under the FCC,
Right.
but they're going to try to, push that.
Brendan Carr.
I've heard that Google has already gotten letters from Carr about, what are you censoring? So the shots are across the bow already.
He has vowed, Trump's pick for the FCC, this is PC Magazine, has vowed crackdown on big tech censorship.
Let's put air quotes around the word censorship because it's also known as editing.
I have to point out a really good piece by Cory Doctorow, in which he points out that these big tech companies, and you may not agree with this, Jeff, but he says have become so big that they are harmful to our country. They're corrupt. He says they need to be. He said he's in favor of this kind of regulation, but he says one of the things that happens with a corrupt presidency is they pick and choose which corruption to weed out, and you see that with Putin. Certainly, the oligarchs are corrupt until you don't, support Putin, and then you're out the window.
What does Musk think of Google? Do we have any idea?
Well, Musk's funny because he was really pissed off at Apple because they stopped buying ads on X. But then Tim Cook invited him over and they had a cup of coffee and he went back saying, I love Apple. So Musk is somewhat like the president, in which the president-elect, because, to whoever last talked to him, whoever was made nicest to him. So Musk definitely doesn't like OpenAI, doesn't like Google in terms of their AI stuff. He thinks they're moving too fast, too dangerously. Of course, he has his own AI. And
fast.
It's kind of like a kid in the back going, slow down, slow down. He wants to catch up.
Wait, to your question, my colleague Aaron Wu last night reported that Musk joined the call between Trump and Sundar Pichai. When Sundar had called Trump to congratulate him, on the call with Trump was Elon Musk. And basically what Trump and Musk have alleged in all these conversations is, that they think Google is biased against conservatives and are going to crack down on it. So it is really interesting to see the way in which Elon Musk's influence is worming its way into every aspect of this.
Wu writes, Musk's appearance took Pichai by surprise. Oh, hi, Elon. Hi, how are you?
It's like a mom coming along on a date.
Well, Musk's been going along on a lot of the president's calls, including to Vladimir Zelensky. Musk, this is Aaron Wu's reporting in The Information, recently criticized Google for what he believes is liberal bias and how the company presents search results. Remember his tweet about that? He says it was part of a massive far left censorship. Trump said the same thing. That's a good question. What will Musk's influence be? And B, what does Musk think? What does Trump think? Google should continue Sundar Pichai's no fool. Say exactly what they're saying. We're an American we're an American band and we're forward in American innovations. The same thing Tim Cook did when of course Tim Cook is threatened by threats of Chinese tariffs of as much as 60%, which would add hundreds of dollars to the cost of the iPhone. The way Cook got Trump to stop that last time was to point out that only benefits Samsung, a South Korean company. So I think Google's going to be fine. All Google's going to do is say,
but here's
we're an
the
American company. Don't hurt us.
The question for Google is that it's one matter if you're, MSNBC and you're liberal. But Google really isn't. Google really does try to be fair, and they have, ranking algorithms, and every ranking is a decision that's made. That
it
would be really hard, to say that.
But the propaganda machine does not
care.
It does not believe that. It's something, I mean, you can see if you read any of these extremely like far right-wing websites, they argue that Google is incredibly biased against conservatives and propping up, well, for a while, Harris's campaign. And I'm sure there'll be some new target. And I do think that until you take care of that,
but what does it mean to take care of
problems are not going to stop. That's the issue is you can't take care of it. So
you're in charge of search.
They're going to be in the crap forever because the well is poisoned against them.
Right. So you're in charge of search. Sundar comes and says, "Listen, we're not having this conversation, but just get us out of trouble. Make a little few adjustments."
But remember,
and that person's going to say, "To what?"
Remember that Silicon Valley has a voice in this administration. It's not just Elon Musk. It's Peter Thiel.
Well, like that makes you feel better.
Yeah, I mean, actually, none of them like Google, do they?
Right. That's.
I do think that one thing Google could do to boost its relevance to Donald Trump specifically is if Sundar Pichai legally changed his name to Mr. Google. I do think that would make a difference.
Sundar Google, next to Tim Apple, and then
because if I don't even think Sundar Google, because if Trump's having a hard time with Tim Cook,
just Mr. Google.
He probably just needs to have Mr. Google. He's got to get rid of his first name, and he could solve a lot of problems for him.